fresh off a historic night in Edmonton on Thursday night, capped off by a super sick overtime winner. The Oilers kick off a 3-game road trip into 6 this evening as they're in Toronto for a battle with the Maple Leafs. Hello and welcome to Pre-Gaming with Bordzy. I'll be real with you, it's a slightly hungover edition of Pre-Gaming with Bordzy today, but a little bit of hair of the dog today, courtesy of our friends from Odd Company. But Pre-Gaming, it's brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the giant for a reason. And I see the first, well, was it the first comment of the day? No, the first comment of the day was Austin. It says, my hot take, Oilers 3-1. Skinner gets one, McJesus gets one, and Nurse. I'm assuming he means Jeff. Exactly.
Oh. Right.
That's the point. Your pal Joe coming in and pumping my tires early says, Bordzy, I love you. Let's go Oilers. Kick my home team's ass. I love you too. And I actually have nothing to do with kicking your home team's ass, but I'll send the message along. Amanda's in, says Jay Skinner Hattie tonight. That's wishful thinking, but I would like to see that. We'll start at 1. I'd like to see 1 goal tonight. That would be nice. Mr. Burns, I feel bad for you. Says, I'm going to watch party with Leafs fans tonight, and I've been talking a lot of trash, so Oilers need to dominate. Mr. Burns, you need new friends because you shouldn't be subjected to hanging out with that tonight. But
that's rough. Stand
tall, be proud and loud. And Bob Stauffer said Pod Goals in, and now I really like that nickname as well. But Podzilla is, come on, we're sticking with that one through and through. Tonight, as you see, I'm joined by the one, the only Coomzy for a little east-west showdown between Oilers and Leafs. Coomzy, how are we doing, brother?
I think we're feeling pretty good. The Oilers are on their longest winning streak of the season thus far, which is 3 games. And they managed to score 14 goals across those 3 games, which is the most they've scored in any 3-game stretch in the entirety of this season. So we want to see them keep scoring goals in Toronto because they never win in Toronto. They've had a hard time during the entirety of the Connor McDavid era. You got to go all the way back to the COVID-shortened 2021 season, the last time the Oilers won a game against the Maple Leafs in Toronto.
Saturday night, hockey night in Canada. It literally doesn't get any better than this. And I do like that it's a little bit early tonight because then I can probably still catch John Jones fighting Stipe Miocic tonight, UFC fight. Big fight weekend in general this weekend. Later along in the show, we will be joined by host of Leafs Morning Take, Nick Alberga. I almost said Nick Alberta again because, come on, he should maybe on move down here. We caught up to talk about his jealousy of number 97, Austin Matthews being out with injury. He's going to be out again tonight. And what's going on with that entire situation? Because it seems very, I don't know, under the radar, and the Leafs aren't talking a lot. And, of course, preview tonight's meeting. But I said it was a fight weekend, so I want to ask the people in the chat, did you guys watch that Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight, in quotations, I would say, last night? Because, my God, that was terrible. The fight was awful. The stream quality was even worse than it looked like everybody around the world just had 25% buffering on Netflix. And I don't know. It's a circus fight. You got what you asked for. I mean, come on, hand up. I agreed to watch a 58-year-old man fight a guy 30 years younger than him. It was brutal. It was stupid, and I might be done with the stuff I see Lee Losh is in. That was just cardio. Mike Tyson wasn't even moving in the fight. He had the first 30 seconds. However, I did profit because I knew it was going to be bull. I did profit. It was Jake Paul plus 275 for a win by decision. So I knew that was going to happen. I also had it going to a decision. They were 8 rounds of 2-minute rounds, 16 minutes of fight time. It was awful. Coomzy, I asked you if you watched it last night, and what did you tell me?
I did not watch it because I got distracted. I was planning to tune in, but me and my fiance watched Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift and then watched the next one immediately after. We're like, we got to keep going. This is very high adrenaline stuff, and it's hard to stop.
Let me know in the chat, what is your favorite Fast and Furious movie? As a kid, I remember I thought the sequel, Too Fast, Too Furious, with the number, was the coolest title of a movie that's ever existed. It was a weird one. Pat, you said you watched the fight as well. I watched it at a bar, which, let me know. I'm led to believe that might be illegal to, in fact, be doing that, but I won't say the name of the bar that did it last night. Pat, you watched. It was terrible.
Yeah, and I'm actually ended up really embarrassed. I thought was convinced for weeks leading
By
up.
knockout or what?
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. But like everyone said, if he doesn't get knocked out in the first 2 seconds, he's gonna last, right? So no, I'm genuinely embarrassed after watching it that I thought that, but the first 3 fights were good.
Okay, that's what I want to talk about. Amanda Serrano and
Oh my
Katie
God.
Taylor. That was, I see some people in the chat saying it as well. The two, like Amanda Serrano's like, I don't know, maybe like the GOAT of female boxing. However, she got pummeled last night. It was 2 chicks. Pat, we both said no technique in that one at all. It was just straight up, I punch you, you punch me, I punch you for rounds on end. It was sick, right, Pat?
Oh, it was incredible to watch. And like the first one, I think the one guy was an influencer, not a boxer,
Yeah.
but I'm so bad with names. But the first guy was just toying with them and it was awesome. Second fight was great, but I mean, definitely highlight of the night was and I don't know about the whole headbutting thing.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know a
what
lot
somebody
of
says right
boxing
here.
rules, but there was a lot of headbutting going on. And the crazy thing for me was like just watching them zoom in on that cut over and over, and it just getting worse and worse. And I'm like, at some point, I don't want to see this anymore.
You could see it in real time getting
Yeah.
worse and worse. And you're like, yeah, you're right. Hold on. Zoom in one more time. I want to see that one more time. Filiparto Taylor, the headbutt champion. Yeah, it was weird, but Eric says it best. I'm so sad for us all. I agree, man. I've become everything I hate, but I mean, you put it on Netflix, like you're going to watch it, but clearly Netflix couldn't handle how many people were watching that because, as I said, the fight was bad. The stream quality 10 times worse. Before we move on and talk Oilers as well, we got to wish our boy, Matthew Wozniak, a very happy birthday. Happy birthday to Woz. I don't know if he's going to be here later tonight. He said he might be. Kennedy might even bring him cupcakes. I don't know. We all love Woz, so if you're in the chats, tweet him, message him, DM him, let him know, give him a happy birthday. And
He is now 40 years old.
hey, I'm going to be real with you, and I've said this before. Before I got hired here, I thought Woz was like 38 years old. And then I found out, met him. Oh, you're younger than me? Damn, tough luck, brother. Woz, we love you. Happy birthday. I also couldn't throw a shot in there without, it's your
Oh,
birthday. We got
What a
to
birthday wish.
hold you accountable. But tonight, talk some puck, boys, because it's Leafs Oilers Saturday night, hockey night in Canada. And normally, right, this one comes with the billing of McDavid versus Matthews. This evening, we're not going to have that. Still excited for it. Austin Matthews going to miss his 6th consecutive game. The Leafs been very good without him, but Coomzy, regardless who's in the lineup tonight, I'm excited for this one. All the other Leaf star players have really been stepping up in Matthews' absence. Me and Nick Alberga will talk about that a little bit more later, but you're in the 6th. First game of a roadie. Also, did they go and see Taylor Swift? Did the Oilers see Taylor Swift? I know Connor made some type of crack about it because she was just in Toronto for that one, but this city is a buzzing this weekend, Saturday night. I'm excited for this one. Are you? And thoughts on no McDavid Matthews, because you don't get that graphic, on Sportsnet that has them literally going head to head, but I'm very excited.
Yeah, I don't think the McDavid Matthews things really matter. It's just the McDavid in Toronto, McDavid versus Leafs, because it's always, Leafs fans like to do their thing where they're, Connor McDavid's going to come home. There's, the picture of him wearing the jersey as a kid. And then they just, do that whole thing whenever Edmonton's in Toronto or vice versa. There's always so many Leafs fans in the stadium in Edmonton. It always kind of charges up the atmosphere. And I think it's not so much, I don't think there's really that much of a McDavid Matthews rivalry. The NHL always tries to force these things, even with Ovechkin and Crosby, where really never was much of a rivalry. It's more of just a narrative thing. I think it's more just putting McDavid in the situation where Toronto gets to have their full 1,000% insane media focus on him.
Yeah.
And then if the Oilers go ahead and win in Toronto, then it's always a funny one because, the narrative from Toronto always is that there's no team in Edmonton. It's just Connor McDavid. And you'd like to think that they can prove that one wrong.
You're going to see a little bit of that whole team tonight. Obviously, the Oilers, if you checked up, it was weird this morning, right? As we got some lines tweeted out from Morning Skate that had one Victor Arvidsson in the top 6 with Podzilla and Leon Draisaitl. Then a couple hours later, we find out that Nobby says, no, Victor Arvidsson not good to go tonight. We're going to go 11-7 yet again. Nobby did say on Thursday that he expected Arvidsson to be back on the weekend, and it's an undisclosed injury, I do believe. What's with the NHL being so secretive about injuries? It's so funny. Like Connor's ankle goes in the boards in the lower body. Like I'm pretty sure I can pinpoint what that is, but we're going 11-7 tonight. And if you saw, do we have the tweet of the lines here, Pat? The way they're at least written down is, okay, so that was what we had earlier today, was Arvidsson there. And then Chris Nobla says he's not going to play. I've seen other ones. Corey Perry is at least slotted in that top 6 spot next to Leon and Podzilla. He's, a jack of all trades. You can put him in any situation. He can play with skilled players. He's done it for his entire career. I like the idea of rotating guys throughout that spot, maybe double shifting 97 as well. There's one man who could sure use a point, a goal. He'll take it any way he can get it, and that is one Jeff Skinner. Coomzy, we saw people in the chat predicting a hat trick tonight. Said, let's just start with one, maybe a couple shots on goal. He's been the odd man out so far. He played 8 minutes in a game previously. He played 12 minutes. I think he played 10 in the last game as well. And I don't know, where are you at with Jeff Skinner right now? It's been a hot button topic online and with this team, obviously, as he came out of the gates red hot, right? He was cashing my shot prop bets every single game, and all of a sudden, wow, as Pat will point out to you, he still is shooting the pill. Jeff Skinner hasn't gone the way he wanted lately, I guess you could say. And thoughts on Jay Skinner maybe getting some opportunity in the top 6?
Yeah, it's hard to say. You'd think that if there was an opportunity for him to play in the top 6, it'd be a time like this when Victor Arvidsson's injured. You wouldn't really expect that Corey Perry is the one to go up, but he is the one who has, I guess, produced more recently, or the one you're expecting to produce in that spot with Leon Draisaitl, because if you're going to get those marquee minutes with either one of them, McDavid or Draisaitl, you've got to produce. And Jeff Skinner, he had the one goal against Calgary, but most of his goals came during a hot start in October. And this is kind of who Jeff Skinner is. And I mean, when he was with the Buffalo Sabres and Carolina Hurricanes as well, streaky player. This is what, skilled forwards can be, is when they're not scoring goals, they're not really very noticeable at all. And he's got to go and play 4th line minutes and find a way to be noticeable. And then at some point during the game, he's going to get those minutes with McDavid or Draisaitl. If he's on that 4th line with 2 skaters, him and Derek Ryan, eventually they're going to get those shifts. And, he's got to do something creative in the offensive zone and warrant being moved up the lineup, because he's unnoticeable most games.
Yeah, he is unnoticeable. I guess lately he's had some shots on net. Patrick, you had a little tweet go semi-viral this afternoon as one defending Jeff Skinner. And Patrick, I tend to agree with you. You want to share with the folks?
Well, basically, I just said more or less my thought process was everyone's just hating on Jeff Skinner online, which is what we often do. Oilers fans
that's
often do. It's all we do. And that's just what Twitter is sometimes, right? But it's just everyone's saying we got to get rid of Skinner, and he stopped playing Skinner, and good thing he's on the 4th line. And I just don't think that's the narrative I like to have. Like, yeah, maybe he hasn't been exactly producing as of late, but like you said, Coomzy, this is the perfect opportunity to throw him on that 2nd line, give him some minutes and maybe some opportunities to boost his confidence and put one home. But so that's more or less what I was getting at. I just think, he got 4 shots in 10 minutes last game. I thought that holding the stick penalty was brutal. I'm not sure he needed to get sat for that one. Obviously, as you mentioned, in Knobloch we trust. But I just would like to see a little more opportunity for him, and maybe we can get his confidence up a little bit, because I think he's a good player. And as you mentioned, he is a bit streaky, but you just got to break that cycle. And I think sitting him for 2 periods, making him play 10 minutes isn't going to help, but I'm no expert.
I see Jeff Skinner in our future at the end of the season, so you don't want to limit his ice time. You got to believe in him, like you showed with Arvidsson, like you've shown with Podzilla so far. But hashtag in Nobby we trust. But a more general conversation about Jeff Skinner and Coomzy, I'm curious your opinion. I don't think Jeff Skinner has been that bad and warranted to be in the doghouse the way he has. I mentioned he played 8 minutes in a game in this previous week, which I don't know, I found a little egregious, because he is around it. He is shooting pucks. You mentioned that you do think he's a little unnoticeable out there. Do you think lately, like in limited ice time, he said 10 minutes, 4 shots on goal. What else can you ask for the guy?
That is true. I mean, like he is brought in to get shots on net, put pucks in the back of the net. And I mean, I guess part of the worry about Jeff Skinner's game is when he doesn't have the puck, what's he doing? Is he checking? Is he skating? Is he forechecking? Is he back checking? And the problem with players like that, and I mean, I think, yeah, it was probably unfair to say he's completely invisible if he's getting shots on goal. But the thing is that what the Oilers have missed this season, and I think a lot of people have pointed this out on the internet, is that they're missing those speedy wingers like the Holloways and the McLeods, the players like that, the puck retrievers. And I think that's what people are expecting from Jeff Skinner, even though that's not his game at all. I think people are sitting there watching, Skinner was a replacement for Fogle or a guy like that, and he's not the exact same player, and you can't have the exact same expectations.
Yeah, it'll be curious to see how this rolls out for the next couple of games here, especially on this Eastern road trip. I assume Victor Arvidsson is with them on the road. I haven't seen anything saying he isn't. So who knows, maybe he'll be in the lineup for the next game back in that top 6. This might be Jeff Skinner's only opportunity because we play, what's the order of it? Ottawa on Monday?
I think it's Ottawa. It's Montreal, then Ottawa.
Okay, Montreal, then it's Montreal. You'd think I would know this. I live by the seat of my pants. One game at a time. We will be pre-gaming early for those ones during the week. Moving the conversation, special teams for the Edmonton Oilers, brother. The power play is looking a little bit better. And Pat, can you pull up the Oilers team stats? Because you look at the penalty kill, and my, oh my, would you believe it? They're 62.8%. We're on our way up, baby. Get the word out that we are back up. But it's been a couple games in a row here, looking solid on the penalty kill. And, of course, the power play. We always knew the power play would get going. We talk about this every single show. Even if they're not scoring right now, they look like the Edmonton Oilers power play, right? Bouchard is starting to find those lanes again, not being the shin pad assassin. Granted, that's always going to come. He had 8 shots on goal the other night, Evan Bouchard did. McDavid's just kind of possessed right now on one of those streaks where he looks like he can do literally whatever he wants out there on the ice. Draisaitl tied for second in the NHL with goals. So the power play is looking good right now. Would you agree with those thoughts as well? Regardless of whether they're scoring or not, they're looking solid.
Yeah, the process is there. It's not like in the early part of the season when they were trying to move the puck
didn't
around.
look normal.
It didn't look natural at all. It looked like pucks were being held onto for too long. Players were looking around, trying to expect someone was going to be there, and they're not. Fumbling the puck around, everyone looks uncomfortable. But now it feels like a month into the season, everyone's kind of hit their groove. You can't necessarily guarantee that your power play is going to be good and you're going to score every single time just because the power play is good. But, the process is there and they look like how they've looked before. I don't think there was any genuine worry that the power play wasn't going to figure it out because it's the same 5 players that have been doing it for 2.5, 3 years now. But there is some worry about the penalty kill. They did lose a lot of players on that penalty kill in the offseason. The 2 defensemen, Vinny Desharnais and Cody Ceci, played the most minutes of any blue liners on the penalty kill last year. Ryan McLeod, of course, another player, Warren Fogle. So
Ceci, Vinny, yeah, everybody.
Yeah, so a good chunk of the penalty kill, but there was never any doubt. The power play is obviously going to figure it out. There's no doubt about that.
Power play is going to be fine. The PK killed off 4 in a row, baby. 2 for 2 against the Preds, 2 for 2 against the Islanders. We got to celebrate small victories because the way this season has started, being down a man, there's not enough words to describe it, but they have looked better. I made the argument that against the Islanders, I don't know if the PK was actually improved or the Islanders are just simply that bad because they were, excuse my language, fumble fucking pucks all over the place. They couldn't do anything with it. Now, Nashville, Thursday, they came in with the 10th best power play in the entire NHL, and that's been an area where they've really only gotten their production on the power play. And they had names like Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, Philip Forsberg. But the Oilers, penalty kill, they looked better. Coomzy, do you think we are turning the tide? Or, was the Islanders game just the Islanders? And, hey, even a broken clock is right twice a day kind of dealio against the Preds. Thoughts on the state of the penalty kill right now?
Well, even if you're going up against the New York Islanders power play and they have a bad power play, the Oilers have a bad enough penalty kill. They were around 50% for weeks. That even if you're killing off, an AHL team's power play, then that's a step in the right direction. But there'll be Nashville, like you said, solid power play. There's a lot of skill in that one. And then this is going to be the same thing with Toronto here is you have a lot of players on the Leafs who have really good power play numbers. Mitch Marner's scored. Oh, I have the wrong one. Okay. Power play goals. William Nylander leads the team with 4 power play goals. John Tavares got 3. They've got a lot of skill, of course. Austin Matthews not playing. He's one of their usual best power play shooters. But the Oilers will be in tough in this one against a team that does have a lot of skill in the top power play unit. But a little bit more of an upgrade than from the New York Islanders. But
you don't say.
not quite as lethal as the New York Islanders power play.
I hate these team comparisons, Pat. You said it. We had to give the yellow back up to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They lead us in goals, 4 goals against power play, and of course the penalty kill. Leafs, they are solid this season, man. 10-6-2, obviously doing it 4-1-0 without Austin Matthews right now. And you mentioned power play's been hot for them, but it's their top dogs that have been carrying this team this season. We'll have a little bit more on that later with our pal, Nick Alberga. Let's move now to our Wilhauk Beef Jerky need to know information, because only the finest tasting meat products earn that Wilhauk name. Made from 100% pure Alberta beef, their jerky is aged, seasoned, smoked, and marinated to savory perfection. They gladly fill orders of any size. You can find their jerky, sausage, and other products out of their Leduc location. And for more info, go to WilhaukBeefJerky.com. So, Coomzy, as you mentioned off the hop, the boys are hot. 3 in a row, biggest win streak of the season. An 8-game heater would literally solve all my problems, just like last season. But you said there, they scored 14 goals in their last 3 games. The offense is officially back. I think we can say the Oilers, they met the Leafs twice last season. First one, 4-2 Oilers win during that 16-game heater that solved all of my problems. Second one was a Leafs win in Toronto. They won that one 6-3. And as you said, it stuns me. The Oilers haven't won a game in Toronto since the Canadian division. Tonight is the night. Oilers obviously going 11-7. No Arvidsson. Will be rotating, but it does expect Corey Perry, I think, to get the bulk of those minutes. But you'll see 97. You'll see 53. And who knows? You might even see Matthias Janmark. He always finds his way into the top 6 somehow, some way. But going 11-7, obviously, 7 defensemen, Travis Dermott and Troy Stetcher, both in the lineup. And in the last game where they went 11-7, it was the top 4 boys doing heavy lifting. Bouchard, Ekholm, Kulak, Nurse. All played over 20 minutes. Emerson logged 13:36. Troy Stetcher had 8. And Travis Dermott played a respectable 5 minutes and 44 seconds on the ice. I predicted he would play 7:30. So even I overshot that one. Then finally, we do expect Stuart Skinner to get the start this year. 5-5-1 record, 3.22 goals against, 881 save percentage. He's won 2 games in a row. However, he's had sub 900 in both of those games. And his career against the Leafs, gulp, he's 2-2-0. But he has a 413 goals against and an 870 save percentage. Stuart Skinner gets the start tonight. Obviously, this is a tough team in the Maple Leafs. Stuart Skinner is your 1A. Is he going to be above 900 tonight, Coomzy? Please say yes.
Yes.
Woo! There we go. Thoughts on Stuart Skinner lately?
I mean, you asked and I delivered.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I necessarily believe that he will actually put up above a 900 save percentage in this game. It's just not necessarily a guarantee. Stuart Skinner's been all over the grid so far to start this season. The thing that I think that we've kind of come to realize about him over the course of his career is that there's these really strong stretches where he looks just as solid as can be, swallows everything up, great, no worry whatsoever. And then there's these other stretches where every time the other team comes into the zone, you think the puck's going in the back of the net, and there just isn't really a middle ground. And it's weird. It's not something that I can really remember seeing from a goalie being this hot and this cold. But Skinner's season thus far, 2024-25, has been up and down, and I don't think they want to get to a point just yet where they're trusting Cal Pickard to play in games like this, a marquee Saturday game against Toronto. I don't think it's good for Stuart Skinner to not be playing in these games. I think you want him to face the lights and see how he performs, because ultimately, if February, March rolls around and you decide, okay, I don't think this guy is going to be able to do it, then you have to go out and make a change, and they have to put him into the situations to see if he can do it or not.
Yep, I agree with that as well. Stuart Skinner's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get, but hopefully we get a good one tonight. Loose leaf. I stumbled over my words because this made me laugh. Stu's bringing back 80s hockey. No shame. That's a good call. On the Leafs side of need to know, 10-6-2 on the year, second in the Atlantic Division, 1 point behind Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, but the Leafs do actually have 1 game in hand. Austin Matthews not going to be in the lineup, missing his 6th straight game. Marner, though, he leads this team in points with 20. Nylander has 12 goals and 18 points, tied for second in the NHL. John Tavares has found his game and is offensively producing after getting the captaincy ripped off his jersey. Matthew Nyes is looking good as well. More with Nick Alberga in just a moment. And Anthony Stolarz Who?
Oilers
The former
legend.
Edmonton Oiler, Anthony Stolarz, it's insane. His numbers 6-3-2 with a 211 goals against and a 930 save percentage, really solidifying that crease for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And they got young Joseph Wall backing him up, who I don't think was ready for that starter position. And Stolarz has just grabbed it and ran with it. And we're gonna see a hot goaltender tonight. Let's talk our Sherwood Ford Giant storyline, brought to you by Sherwood Ford the Giant. Tired of dealership hassles? Sherwood Ford in Sherwood Park is all about convenience and upfront pricing with their Giant Deal program. Get clear, no nonsense pricing on new and used Fords online with all incentives included. Plus, enjoy the ease of mobile service, free pickup and delivery, and same day or next day service appointments. We all looked outside yesterday and saw there is snow everywhere. So go on down, book your appointment with Sherwood Ford. They will swap your winter tires for you. And you know what, Coom? They'll even store your summer tires for you. What don't they do at Sherwood Ford the Giant? Giant for a reason. My storyline tonight is just simply, this is fight weekend. This feels like heavyweight fight weekend. We got one last night. We're going to get John Jones tonight, heavyweight UFC, and Leafs Oilers just has that billing. The Leafs crowd, however corporate it may be in suits in the stands, I expect them to bring the energy. I bet tickets are probably out the ass because 97 only comes once a year. It's got that billing, the storyline. Pat, we've talked, and I saw your prediction on our socials, predicting a little overtime hockey. These games always have that feel, tend to be one-goal games, close games for sure. So I'm just excited. My storyline is this one's going to be close. It's going to be a battle. And there's like a rivalry, which is so weird to me because we all hate the Leafs. We play them twice a season. Like, it's really no reason to hate them, but it's probably more about the fan bases. Coomzy, do you have a storyline or is there anything specific you're looking at this evening?
Yeah, it's the first game of Connor McDavid's now pursuit of 2,000 points in his NHL career. Fourth fastest to 1,000, as we've talked about at length. And now can he become the second player ever to hit 2,000? Wayne Gretzky, of course, is the only one. And Jaromir Jagr got pretty close, 1,920, I think it was. And then the other players who are the top 5 leading scorers of all time, Mark Messier. It's Jaromir Jagr, Mark Messier, Gordie Howe, Ron Francis. All of these guys played into their 40s. So Connor McDavid now, he turns 28 in January, already at 1K. Can you do it again? I think it seems realistic to me, honestly.
I think he can. I mean, the amount of games he did it, he's still 27 years old, and it's all about staying healthy, right? But as I've said ad nauseum, Connor McDavid's bones are full of adamantium like Wolverine. He crashed into those boards with his ankle back, a week later? Come on. He's not even human. So nice. I like that. The pursuit starts now. We'll start tracking it. Let's get out to our interview with Nick Alberga. We caught up earlier this afternoon to talk Maple Leafs, and it's brought to you by Greta Bar Yeg. It's where Oilers Nation loves to party and watch the game. Great spot for pre and post. We're going to be there all season long for our viewing parties. Check out their great street food menu, games in the arcade, weekly drink specials, because Greta is the place to be. So here is our interview with host of Leafs Morning Take One, Nick Alberga. And I'm joined by a very, 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 that's 3 veries, special guest in one, Nick Alberga, host of Leafs Morning Take, does stuff for the NHL Network, fantasy shows, and just a straight-up beauty, Nicholas. We got a strict beauties only policy here on Pre-Gaming, so you're hitting our quota. But how are we doing, Nicholas? I don't think I've seen you, in person since, correct me if I'm wrong, since the Stanley Cup Finals at Greta Bar Yeg with, my memory's a little hazy, Adam Henrique's brother?
His brothers. I don't think we're supposed to share that on the show, but yeah, hanging out with Rico's brothers a bit at the Stanley Cup Final. That was a lot of fun, man, but it just shows you, and it's great to be with you, it just shows you how quickly time flies, where it feels like it's yesterday, and we're about to hit the quarter pole of the NHL season. It's nuts.
Dude, it's insane. We're almost 20 games in here, and you Leafs are about to be, this game 19, I believe, this season. But Leafs, Oilers, Saturday night, hockey night in Canada. And Nick, you won't get to see Connor Mc-1000 tonight, but you will be in the building. You'll probably have the perfect angle to take photos of 97 and later Photoshop him in a Maple Leafs jersey like you do. But obviously Thursday, historic night in Edmonton. for Connor and for the NHL in general. Connor becomes the 4th fastest player to reach 1,000 points. So, Nicholas, just kind of broadly, tell me all the reasons, A, you're jealous that 97 is going to re-sign in Edmonton for 8 years. And I don't know, what do you think of his career so far? And where do you think Connor McDavid will end up, we'll say points-wise, by the end of his career? Do you think he can hit the 2,000 mark?
Without question, first and foremost. I had a lot of questions for your questions. Number one, was that a real cake, by the way?
I think so. I believe so.
What happens, like, I know it's McDavid and he's like an automatic point every game. Like, what happens if he doesn't get that point? Do they put that on the PJ and it goes out to Toronto with them and it stays in a freezer? I had so many question marks from that. Love the t-shirts, by the way. Love that his dad was in attendance. It felt like his dad had a single ticket to the game and he was sitting with just the crowd, which I thought was hilarious. But I wanted to mention, too, this is the penultimate visit to Toronto for Connor McDavid in the regular season, at least. You never know what could happen in the Stanley Cup playoffs. To Toronto until he signs to the Leafs, July 1st, 2026. I got a great article over at theleafsnation.com that you should check out. No, I'm kidding. This guy's incredible. Never say never, but I think he's going to resign clearly. Draisaitl signing long-term. You know, he's got probably confirmation from McDavid, but I honestly have ran out of superlatives to describe this guy. As you know, covered the majority of the Stanley Cup playoffs, the conference finals, and the Stanley Cup final for the NHL. Just watching it firsthand, the way this guy elevates, there's nobody even in the same ballpark or derby as a Connor McDavid. So it's been a pleasure watching him. I think north of 2,000 for sure. I think one day, obviously, he'll go down as one of the best ever to do it.
Speaking of the other superstar on the Toronto Maple Leafs this evening, he's not going to be playing one Austin Matthews, missing his 6th straight game with an upper body injury. The Leafs, though, they're soldiering on. They're 4-1-0 without him. But, Nick, Saturday Night Hockey Night in Canada, McDavid versus Matthews, it doesn't have that same fight night type billing without him. So do we have an update on Matthews, and when's he going to be back?
Man, I wish I had the answer for you. Like, it's a daily occurrence in this market, even dating back to the playoffs, where just the level of mystery when it comes to star players and injuries is just out of this world. Like, I was sort of snickering the last little while McDavid goes down, not laughing about the injury, but just they were pretty transparent with everything, the way it was going down. All of a sudden, he comes back sooner. I mean, so there's that expectation there. With Matthews, like, he skated last weekend, and abruptly Sunday he stopped skating. So it's like, what the hell is going on? So nobody seems to have an answer on this front. I will say, I think there's a couple of reasons why people are not really talking about it, at least in this market. A, they're winning games. They've been exceptional without Austin Matthews. The first couple games, not so much the last two. Obviously, they lost to the Ottawa Senators. Didn't play particularly well for the majority of that game against the Washington Capitals, but found a way to get the job done in the third period in OT. The power play has been great without Matthews. So I think until this team starts to lose some games, it's not really going to be a story. And, you know, right now, I think the narrative for them is like, we only play 5 times for the rest of November. Let's get this guy healthy. We got some days off. We got some practice dates. I don't subscribe to that, specifically with the Maple Leafs, because of the conversation around injuries, man, for like the last decade. They tell us absolutely nothing. And it's like, oh, yeah, this guy's not playing tonight. We saw it in Game 7 of the first round against Boston, where we're all prepped for this game an hour and a half before puck drop. It's like, yeah, Joe Wall's not going. It's like, what do you mean he's not going? So it's a daily occurrence in this market, but they've been really good without him, which is really, really weird, Bords.
You just mentioned one goaltender in Joseph Wall, but I want to talk about the other one, Anthony Stolarz. The former Edmonton Oiler, may I remind you, is having a great season thus far, dude. 6-3-2, 211 goals against with a .930 save percentage. Are you shitting me? May I remind you, he had an .897 and a .377 goals against when he was with the Edmonton Oilers. So what has been the difference for this guy this year? He did have good numbers in his previous season with the Panthers, I do believe. But, dude, he's been a rock back there for the Maple Leafs. And goaltending always in Toronto, right? Much like the Oilers. Up and down, little iffy here and there. And this dude's kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have the Stolarz version back in the day of the Oilers now with your guy Stuart Skinner, right? He's got like what, a .835 save percentage, it feels like. No, I'm kidding, just throwing a dig at you. But your answer here on Stoli, I think it's a prime example of a guy coming into his own at the NHL level. I know he's a bit older, but the numbers checked out last year at a backup role for Sergei Bobrovsky. It's kind of cool that somebody gave him the opportunity. If you recall back on July 1, it was pretty much like Laurent Boissois, who came from Winnipeg, and Anthony Stolarz as two guys you could push to get maybe a number one job or like a pseudo number one job or a 1A, 1B type look. And Stolarz lands with the Maple Leafs. I like his big presence. I think the system to a degree has a lot to do with it. Like the Maple Leafs, when they're playing their best hockey, don't give a much when it comes to Craig Berube and the patience when it comes to that. But he's made some really good saves. I think the cool thing to bring up, and knock on wood, you never know what can transpire against Edmonton, is the fact that I could probably count on 3 fingers how many shitty goals he surrendered this season. And as you know, and people in most markets, when your goalie can't make that routine stop, it just cripples you. And I think that's the biggest thing that stuck out for me when it comes to Stolarz. He's making the saves. He's making the saves at the key times, and he's not letting that shitty goal in. You combine that together, and that's why his numbers are what they are.
That must be nice. I'm a little bit jealous of that. So far this season, the Leafs, they're top dogs, even without Matthews, dude. They've been producing all year. Willie Stiles, Willie Nylander, he's in his first year of his $92 million deal. He's tearing it up. I believe he's second in the NHL, tied for goals with one Leon Draisaitl. John Tavares all of a sudden is looking really good, even though they took the C off of his jersey. And our boy Matthew Nyes looks like he's starting to break out. I'm sure Rosie is just taking a victory lap on that every single morning. But Leafs, 10, 6-2, second in the Atlantic, 1 point behind the Panthers. Looks good so far this year. Good goaltending, good offense. I ask you, Nicholas, is this finally the year?
Buddy, I got asked on a daily basis. Rosie loses his mind. You did the show with me for a while. I say, just wake me up in the springtime. It's the same. Pardon me?
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, it's the same feel, man. Like it really is the same feel for this team where it's like you can do whatever you want in the regular season. Nylander can rip it up. He can score 50 plus. Matthews can score 60 plus. But I think until we get to game 1 of the playoffs, I'm not copping out to this answer. I simply don't know. I will say it has been a mixed bag. When they've been good, they've been really good. When they've been bad, they've been really bad. So they're struggling to find that consistency in their game. I am a believer in the Craig Berube system. I think that's the way you need to play to be successful in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The run and gun back and forth under Sheldon Keefe, I just don't think is conducive, at least with this roster, to success in the playoffs. So I will say we are positively optimistic that the acquisitions, specifically when it comes to the crease with Stolarz, now you couple him with Joseph Wall and the blue line, just look out for Oliver Ekman-Larsson tonight. He's looked really, really good. Chris Tanev, Yanni Hakanpää is going to play his second game of the season tonight against Edmonton. So like there's reasons to be optimistic, but I think in the back of Leafs Nation's minds is the fact that they just haven't been able to get over that hurdle in the Stanley Cup playoffs for like a long, long period of time. So until they do that, people are always going to have some doubt. But I'll say I'm cautiously optimistic. Is that a fair answer?
That's not a cop-out answer because, Nick, you've been consistent with that for as long as I have known you. I used to produce Leafs Morning Take for over a year, and every single show we did, it was, hey, show me in the NHL playoffs. Final ones here. This game always brings the energy. Even without Austin Matthews, it's still going to bring the energy. Little East-West rivalry. So I ask you, what do we expect tonight? We only get 2 of these a year. Am I getting high-flying offense, run-and-gun style? There is one really good goaltender on the other side of the ice. Or, I don't know, tell me, am I betting the over or am I betting the under? It's an even 6.0, and I can't make up my mind.
Yeah, these wouldn't have been unpredictable. I think you're asking me right now, I'd probably shade towards the under more so because I think that's the only way the Leafs can win this game if they play that defensive style because they don't have Austin Matthews. And I think defensively speaking, again, for the most part, in the last 5 without Matthews, it's been pretty consistent. It's been pretty solid. I think special teams is going to be a big story in this game, regardless if Edmonton's running hot or cold. When you put those guys in the power play, you're asking for it. You know, Hyman's going to be ready to go. My boy Adam Henrique's going to be ready to go. Like there's a lot of, anytime any team rolls into Toronto, there's this unpredictability. I was reading today, though, as you know, the statistics and the themes, like the Oilers tend to struggle in Toronto. It makes no sense. I believe they came in here last year and I think it was like 2 of Toronto's 4 big boys were out of the lineup and the Leafs steamrolled them. So like, there is this level of unpredictability, Bordzy, to this matchup, to this meeting every season. So I'd probably play the under in this game. I can't tell you who's going to win, but probably play the under.
I'm pretty sure I read today, too, the under in their last 10 meetings, 4-4-2. But it's a Saturday night, man. I want to see a couple goals. Final 2 here. when am I going to see you in Alberta again? I want to see my Nick Alberta. And second, give me a score prediction. I know you just said you don't know who's going to win, but no, I'm putting you on the spot. Score prediction.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Well, I have to pick the Leafs because fuck the Oilers. I'm gonna go with 4-2 Leafs in this game. I'll go with 4-2. Or no, actually, no. I just said the under. I'll go with 3-2 final for the Leafs. Actually, 4-2 would be the under as well. Okay, let's just go with that. So it was a long night last night, but 4-2 with the under. What was the other question, by the way?
When am I going to see Nick Alberta again?
Yes. There's a potential I could be in Alberta coming up in January. So we'll link up for sure, buddy. We'll hit up Greta Bar for sure.
Damn right. That's Nick Alberga, host of Leafs Morning Take. Thanks for doing this, Nick. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Enjoy the game, guys.
That was our pal of the Nation Network, host of Leafs Morning Take, Nick Alberta. And you guys make me laugh every single time he comes on. Also, just came in. Timeout. Super chat. QF Pro. I'm late, but Discord's top pick tonight. Nuge to score. Let's go get that man a power play goal. I like that, QF Pro. He could use it. A lot of guys could use it. Also, Southpaw said, I find Rogers Place DJ is great. That is one of my good buddies, DJ Bose. I'm going to have to screenshot that and send it to him as well. But K. Waddy, this is the comment. I got no problem with Nick. Just chose the wrong team. Good dude. I think that encapsulates it pretty perfectly with one Nick Alberga. I almost said Alberta again. Maybe I'm just going to call him that forever. Pat, you had a great line there in the chat. Nick hates likes. So go down and throw down your like tonight if you want to take a shot at the Leafs and Alberga. But can you believe it, Coomzy? Even Nick said Connor McDavid more than likely going to re-sign with the Edmonton Oilers. I'm sure going to see a lot of photoshops, like I mentioned, of Connor in a Leafs jersey. But that debate, I think, is really, really cooled down.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to see Connor McDavid leaving the team in free agency after everybody else from the core has signed a long-term contract, especially Leon Draisaitl. If it weren't for Leon Draisaitl signing his contract extension this summer, then yeah, we could have gone to this season with anxiety that either one or both of them were going to leave. But I just don't really see a reason why Connor McDavid would leave for Toronto right now. Like, I think Leafs fans are excited because, you know, a handful of years ago, John Tavares left the New York Islanders for Toronto. It was his homecoming and gave Leafs fans the excitement that, oh yeah, we can have a superstar from Toronto that comes home and signs with us in free agency. But John Tavares also left the New York Islanders, and that was a team that won.
They weren't in the Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, right?
No, they didn't have he didn't have the same thing going on there in that organization that Connor McDavid has here in Edmonton. The Oilers right now of 2024 of this moment aren't the same Oilers of 2006 when, you know, Chris Pronger asks for a trade. Everyone's leaving all the time. This is a very different version of the Oilers, and I would be shocked if Connor McDavid left the situation.
There's no way. Imagine how pissed Leon Draisaitl would be. I'd be furious. Their friendship over, but that's not going to happen. I also laughed. Southpaw, they hate us because they ain't us. I like it. And Bob, I agree. This happened the other day. His dad saying his only real goal is to win a cup with Edmonton was all we needed. I agree. I went back on my PVR to hear it again and go, okay, all right. As long as Pops is saying, what is his dad's name again? Brian?
David
McDavid. That would be incredible. All right, let's move to the starting goaltender report brought to you by Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. Hit the trails this winter and the waves next summer. As fellow hockey fans, the team at Sherwood Power Sports Marine are helping Oilers Nation fans gear up. They're home of an ATV for just $50 bi-weekly, or cruise the open water with a boat for just $105 bi-weekly. Every time I read that, I go, brother, that doesn't sound that bad when you put it bi-weekly. I'd love to be a boat guy. I could be a boat guy. I got boat tendencies.
Love boating.
Sherwood Power Sports and Marine are hockey fans, helping hockey fans get ready for their next adventure with motorcycles, quads, e-bikes, and boats. I'm also not much of a fisherman, to be honest. I'm more of a just crush beers on the open water guy. Are you a fisherman?
I don't really have the patience for fishing. I'm not known for sitting still, but I will try to fish. It's fine. I don't reject the concept of fishing, but I don't think I'd be any good at it.
Yeah, no, maybe I'm too much in that TikTok age now where I've lost my attention
span. We're both
span.
Zoomers now. We just became Zoomers.
Oh no. Let's pull it up here, the tail of the tape between the two goaltenders this evening. There's some yellow on the other guy's side, and it's not even close. Anthony Stolarz. Stoli, as Nick Alberga said there. Stoli the goalie.
Stoli the
Why
goalie.
did we never think of that when he was
He
here?
played 6 games here.
Yeah, he also.
And we were not in the mood for coming up with nicknames. It was, what was it, like February of 2018, and they were, they were 13th in the Western Conference, and we were like, man, I don't want to be watching this.
I was too busy looking at lottery odds and things like that going on. But Stoli, the goalie, has been incredible this year. 211 goals against, 930 save percentage. It's crazy. And then Stuart Skinner, 5-5-1 with a 3.22 and an 8.81. Obviously, Stolarz, we talked about with Nick, he's been incredible this season. And for a team that, whether it was Ilya Samsonov, whether whoever it was in the crease, it has always been up and down. And I can't explain this. I actually didn't look up. How old is Anthony Stolarz right now?
31.
That makes no sense to me. How all of a sudden is he able to do this, Coomzy? It's been incredible, but you're giving me the Edmonton Oilers offense against Anthony Stolarz. Regardless of what those numbers say, I'm always going to take the Edmonton Oilers side. I am incredibly biased, but dude, he's been crazy good this year. It might be tough for the Oilers to score goals this evening. Like Alberga said, you might think about the under.
Yeah, actually, I the thing about the Leafs is people have talked about, especially this version of the Leafs, the Austin Matthews, the Mitch Marner, John Tavares version of the Leafs as a team that's high flying offensively and terrible defensively, but that's not really how they've been for a few years. They're a pretty solid defensive team now. They have a bottom six that doesn't really score goals. They're just there to check and defend and play with some speed. They have a good shutdown defensive pairing now. They signed Chris Tanev over the offseason. Of course, we all know Chris Tanev spent the entirety of last season talking about trading for him. Leafs signed him in the offseason. He plays with Jake McCabe. That's a good shutdown pairing. I think Connor McDavid's going to see a lot of them. So this is going to be a big game for Leon Draisaitl and whoever his wingers are, whether it's Podkolzin and Perry or Skinner and Ryan or whoever it winds up being on given shifts. They're probably going to be the line that doesn't see as much Tanev. So that's who the Oilers, I think, are going to be really leaning on to score goals tonight. I
see KK's in with a question from Twitter. It says, start or sit Skinner tonight in fantasy? Do you mean Jeff or do you mean Stu? I'd also need to know what other goaltender you would bench him for. So KK, respond again and I will answer your question for you. Southpaw is also laughing. They called him Anthony Polars, I guess, tonight. Stuart Skinner, we talked about it. You don't know what you're going to get. I believe in him, and Stu tends to show up in big games, and I know he's from Edmonton, but it's the 6. Man, come on. You're going to be in there. What, I assume they flew in yesterday. They did have morning skate this morning. He's going to be ready to go. I totally believe in Stu, but look at that Leafs offense. William Nylander scoring goals. John Tavares scoring goals. Matthew Nyes has looked incredibly good. And Stuart Skinner, he'll be in tough tonight against this offense. We know the Oilers, and specifically their goalies, their numbers when shorthanded are nothing short of brutal. So you're going to think, can't go on or can't take penalties tonight and let the Leafs go on the man advantage because Stuart Skinner's been having a tough time down a man.
Yeah, that's the penalty kill has been really one of the stories.
It's him and Pickard, both of their numbers shorthanded are brutal.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that you can look much into analytics and fancy stats for penalty killing, but Edmonton's numbers on the penalty kill, the amount of shot attempts and high quality chances they allow, the amount of shots they block, you'd think they'd have a fine penalty kill, a solid penalty kill, but their goalie's numbers on the PK are just, you isolate that and it's really bad. So I don't know. I'm not really one to look at the PK and say, it's the goalies being terrible, but maybe it is the goalies being terrible. So ideally for the Oilers, just don't take too many penalties and this won't be a problem.
Beggars can't be choosers. You can't be taking too many men. You can't be taking holding the sticks 200 feet away from your net because this Leafs power play, they will make you pay. I want to squeeze in a little read here for our friends at Oodle Noodle, Patrick, because they are running a super sick contest going on right now, and you could win nudes for a year. Careful. Cool. Get your mind out of the gutter as well when we do it. Pull it up here for me, Patrick, because Oodle Noodle, nudes miss, baby, free nudes for a year and other exciting prizes. Oodle Noodle is constantly doing sick contests like this. We just gave away a couple tickets to the nation vacation, and all you had to do was eat delicious Oodle Noodle. Are you kidding me? It's going to be in every participating location around the city, and I believe every location is pulling a winner. So get in there, man. You can, once you get a meal, you can put your name in for the draw. And dude, what's your favorite thing from Oodle Noodle? Should we get Oodle Noodle tonight? I think we
it's
should.
amazing. Get
I think
some
we should.
green onion cakes.
Yeah.
The goat.
Patrick, go to oodle noodle order.
Kung Pao, I think it's called.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
That's the
Hot
best one.
box is a good one too.
Yeah.
It's all good. Have you ever had the butter chicken mac and cheese?
I never have.
It's okay. All right. Decisions made. We're getting oodle noodle later tonight. And let's close it out here. Well, we got 9 minutes left. Let's talk some bets. Let's talk Bordzy's Bankroll, brought to you by Bet365, because Bet365 is a proud partner of Pre-Gaming with Bordzy. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today. Use the code NATION, all capitals, spells nation. We love our friends from Bet365, where I said I easily profited off of that terrible fight last night between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. This evening, options include, so if you go check out Oilersnation.com, Andrew McNeil does a betting preview and a betting article every single game day. I have been following them. I read every single article on the site, Coomzy. Read your game notes today. They were fantastic. If you want a late read for some numbers, but Andrew has been red hot lately with his bets of the days, and he says 97 over 3.5 shots on goal. So I'm tailing him, and I'm going to ride with him because, as we know, Connor, he's kind of been a man possessed a little bit lately. In his last couple of games, he had 8, 8, and 4 shots on goal. Back in Toronto for technically a hometown game. He's going to be ripping the puck. Your second option, it's on Bet365, and you'll see it there. You parlay them together. Oil money line and 97 1+ points. Oil are the favorites coming into this one. I think they were minus 150. So if you throw them together, I like the odds of Connor getting 1 point tonight. You get that juiced up to a nice plus 150. And then the final one, Leon, 1+ power play points. Now, Oilers power play rate, I said they haven't scored in their last game, but they've looked right. Leon Draisaitl, key cog in that power play, always looking to snipe. And it was extra juice today at plus 190. So I looked at that and went, I'm a simple man. I'm going to take Leon with the man advantage to just get a simple point. Coomzy, when you look at these 3 bets, which one do you like the most?
I think all 3 of them are fantastic.
Perfect, because I already bet them all.
Perfect. That's I'd advocate for all 3 of them.
How about Connor McDavid ripping the puck a lot as of late? Clearly, he was looking for 1,000 points, so that might have been a reason why he was ripping the puck a lot. Do you expect him to continue to be shooting tonight?
I think so, because he's got his eyes on 2,000 now. So he's got a it's a pretty daunting task. He was, comes into last game at 999, only 1 point away from 1,000, and then he's coming to this game now, and the next task is 2,000 points. So it's pretty daunting. So I think he's going to be getting going hard this game, and he's going to be firing a lot of pucks towards the net.
Maynard says, how are the Oilers favorites? You degenerate Alberta gamblers are skewing the odds. We're not degenerates. We bet responsibly and reasonably here. We do not unit shame. A win is a win. Only bet what you are willing to lose, okay? Bet365 is meant to be fun, not life ruining or any of that. But Pat, when you look at these 3, which one do you like the most?
Well, I'd put myself on the screen, but I'm currently betting 29 1 power play point at plus 190 because that is just way
right. That's way too juiced.
I love it. I'm on it. I had to deposit because I've been responsible lately. My numbers were down, so I was like, I'll take a little bit of a break. But I think that might just be the one to bring me back.
I think it's gonna be, man.
I feel good about it. So
let me know, anybody in the chat, if you have any UFC picks for later tonight, because I'm such a casual UFC fan. I just watch the big ones. I know all the names. I remember the fights, but I don't know anything about the dudes. So, hey, let me know. I do follow a couple guys on Instagram that will let me know. K Waddy says 97 shooting more because his wingers can't finish. I don't know about that, brother. Zach Hyman, we know he can finish. Come on. We're a couple minutes away from puck drop and we're getting negative in Bordzy's bankroll. We're not doing that. Mass says I can't find power play points on Betway. No. You go into it, and you got to go into, I believe it's in the same game parlay section. You can just bet one thing, but that's where power. No, maybe it's not even there right now.
I went to player.
Okay, you went to player,
and then power play points is the 7th one.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I see it right there. A nice, juicy plus 190 for Leon Draisaitl. All right, gentlemen, and everybody in the chats, throw in your score predictions. Coomzy, we'll start with you. Score prediction and an anytime goal score.
It's an interesting one. I'm on the train of this being a low scoring game.
I think the under, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 3-2 win for the Oilers in overtime, and I'm going to take a Leon Draisaitl goal.
I like overtime. Pat, that's very similar to the pick that you had on our socials this evening. What are you thinking?
Yeah, my pick was 4-3 in overtime, but I do like the idea of 3-2. I feel that was yesterday's prediction, so I'm going to go. I'm going to stick to my 4-3, but I do like 3-2, and I'm going to go Hyman as the goal.
Yeah, I could go for a Zach Hyman goal right now as well. Bob Stauffer's in. It says 4-3 Edmonton Oilers. Tyler's Pants is in. It says 5-3 Oilers. Maynard says it's going to OT. Bob says no more overtime, please. Yeah, the last two games. If we have a lead in the third period, I'm looking at you, Edmonton Oilers. Don't blow it again. My heart can't continue to take this. And I'm not betting puck line tonight, but I would prefer no overtime, but that kind of just has the feel of Saturday night hockey night in Canada. Fighting Amish, 4-3 Oilers, 97 goal. Daniel, awfully optimistic, and he's looking for the over. 7-1 Edmonton. Daniel, I like the cut of your jib, brother. Naomi's in, 5-2 Oilers. For me, I think I'm going to say 3-2 Edmonton Oilers. The over-under is just at 6.0 tonight. So I'm saying it's going to even go under that. They're normally at 6.5. I'm going to say that. And my anytime goal scorer, Vasily. No, I'm kidding. That's not going to happen. But hey, maybe it will. For me, I think I'm just going straight up Leon Draisaitl on that power play, getting me, cashing me that plus 190 power play point. Tonight, the three of us will be live right here on the ON YouTube for Oilersnation After Dark. Hopefully breaking down an Oilers W and hopefully doing it quickly enough that I can skirt out of here afterwards and go catch that final UFC fight. I love you all. Throw down your courtesy like on the way out. As we mentioned, Nick Alberga hates likes on our YouTube videos. So if you don't like Nick, maybe just give him a little shot and help us out. Big shouts out to our sponsors, Sherwood Ford the Giant, Sherwood Power Sports and Marine, Greta Bar Yegg, Bet365, Will Hawk Beef Jerky, Oodle Noodle, and ba-da-bum-bum-bum. It's Saturday night, boys and girls. Crack open a couple Odd Company Nation beer everyday lagers this evening. They're perfect for game day. They're perfect for every single day. Go check them out at their two locations in Edmonton or liquorconnect.com where you can buy a keg. So, hey, do with that information what you will. Catch you right here after the game. Good luck on the Bet365 Battlegrounds. Peace out, everybody.